Daniel Harper was a 37-year-old man living in the basement of his mother's modest home in rural Ohio, spending most of his time immersed in a world only he could see. A world where he had a wife, Claire, and two children, Lily and Jake. To the outside world, Daniel was invisible, a quiet, awkward man with unkempt hair and hollow eyes. His mother, Evelyn, dismissed Daniel's behavior as eccentricity, chalking it up to lifelong mental health struggles. She believed his schizophrenia explained the elaborate fantasy he described whenever pressed: how Claire cooked dinner, how Lily played piano, and how Jake laughed in the yard. Daniel's reality, however, was far darker. In the depths of night, when Evelyn slept, Daniel roamed the nearby roads, searching for his missing family members. He targeted women and children walking alone, carefully selecting those who resembled the images in his mind's eye. Daniel would abduct them, leading them back to the basement where he worked with horrifying precision. His basement had been transformed into a grotesque workshop. Taxidermy tools lined the walls: scalpels, needles, preservatives, dolls and mannequins hung from hooks, their glass eyes lifeless. Daniel would sedate his victims and, over several agonizing hours, perform the gruesome process of taxidermy, preserving their bodies with clinical detachment. He dressed them in carefully crafted clothing, styled their hair, and fixed glass eyes to replace their lost souls. Each family member received a place at his meticulously set dinner table or sat in the living area, where Daniel would converse with them as if they were alive. Neighbors occasionally noticed Daniel's odd behavior, seeing the basement windows covered with heavy blankets, hearing strange murmurs late at night, but nothing seemed overtly suspicious. Ohio's quiet town was the kind of place where people avoided prying into others' lives. Daniel's mother remained blissfully unaware of the truth. To her, Daniel's stories of Claire and the children were tragic tales of loss, symptoms of his condition. She cared for him as best she could, bringing meals and occasionally checking on his well-being. Years passed. Daniel continued his cycle of abduction and preservation, adding new family members when he felt Claire needed a friend or Jake required a playmate. His delusions grew more elaborate: birthdays, holidays, and family outings recreated with horrifying fidelity. One autumn evening, a local mother, Karen Whitaker, vanished while walking her daughter home from the bus stop. The community rallied, but the case quickly grew cold. Daniel welcomed Karen into his twisted family without hesitation. As the taxidermy process began, Daniel whispered assurances, cradling her as if preparing her for bedtime. Daniel Harper lived out his fantasy in the basement, an eternal family trapped in lifeless form,